Stay right there because you might scared of being a salesperson, or you want if you want to try and sell something to someone and you get scared. We should be confident. That is what supposed to be. But don't worry about it because today I have someone very special who is a Vistage speaker. And when you tell a story, people love to learn listen to the stories. And we all watch movies, so those are stories in different format. So if you combine story and sales, you see what happens. My today's guest sh- is a sales therapist. He calls himself a sales therapist and storytell. He's the host of storytelling for sales podcast. Please help me welcome Ed Bilat. Welcome, Ed.
Hi, happy to be here.
Let me start with this. Where were you? What happened? Who are you surrounded with that inspired you to do what you do today?
Well, I came here with the $5 in my pocket, as many of our fellow immigrants, right? And out of all the places, I ended up in Mobile, Alabama. This is where I got my first scholarship. I did my master's degree, my MBA, and I basically worked anywhere from being a cold caller, account manager, director, VP of sales. So that's a life of story. So I've been in sales and leadership for over 25 years. And 5 years ago, I started this company focusing on helping organizations grow without burning their sales team, working on a high performance without burning the actual members. I really enjoy doing it, working globally. We have trained over 5,000 people around the world. Really enjoy hosting the podcasts. So this has been my passion of my life.
What are top three mistakes to avoid when it comes into sales or training sales teams?
Well, there are many mistakes you can make, but if we're going to talk about top three, so the first one is this, that, stop pitching, start telling stories, right? And here is the thing, the attention span of the average person in North America used to be around 12 seconds. That's before the mobile revolution. In 2016, we got to 8 seconds. And then Facebook just made this public that during the pandemic, we lost another second, okay? So now the attention span is only 7 seconds. If you continue to pitch your products, people will lose interest in 7 seconds. But if you go to stories, so that's a different thing, right? So like if you tell a nice, compelling, interesting story, people will stay with you. Because attention span of 7 seconds versus 9 seconds for goldfish, right? So like my favorite story, if you go to Walmart and you do your sales pitch in front of the fish tank, a fish in the tank will pay more attention to you than shoppers because it has attention of 9 seconds versus 7 seconds, people around you, right? So that would be the first mistake, okay? Tell the stories. Second one is golden rule versus platinum rule, right? So the golden rule is what? It's been around for centuries, actually. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Guess what? It doesn't work like that anymore. So the new rule is platinum, which is treat others the way they want to be treated. If you as a salesperson just assuming, oh, I know what she wants. Okay, I don't really care what they say. Like, I know exactly what they need. So that's a key mistake. Listen to the people and treat them the way they want to be treated. And the last one is dealing with objections, because if we always go to that fight mode, it's switching from yes, but to yes, and. Okay, because as salespeople, very often we say, yeah, but, and then you go to your like benefits and features. The moment you say but, you're sending the signal, I don't like you, okay? I disagree with you. And that switches bias brain into the defensive, okay? Always, replace but with and magic will happen. Okay, this would be probably top three I could think of this morning.
What is your greatest failure story? What did you learn and how did you recover from it?
Well, there are many failures, but if we have to talk about the most recent ones, here is what happened. I've been working with the sales team for years, for over 4 years. They're about $8 billion company. There's 40 of them. And I go and meet with them and I say, like, guys, so excited to work with you. Like, we're going to work on objection handling techniques, on negotiation. We're going to do a live, role play of your big negotiations. I will play the buyer. And typically, all of them are very, very excited because we've been doing this for years. But now, complete silence, right? Like, I look at my favorite team and I don't recognize them anymore. I'm like, what's going on? And they're just not reacting to anything. We actually had to stop the training. I called VP and he said, like, listen, they're just tired. Pandemic took so much energy. People tired, burned out. They're not excited about anything. So what we ended up doing is to have one-on-one coaching calls and actually interview one of the people, each of the people on the team, and find out about their mental fitness stage, right? And that's been an eye-opener for me, that you cannot just come in with fancy techniques and try pitching, right? It's like you really need to get deeper and deeper and understand the psychological state of the team. And that's been sort of the eye-opener in the way to create the new type of trainings post-pandemic. So that's the failure, I guess.
And what are your top 3 success secrets that others can follow?
Well, in terms of having the sales success, like, my website is storytellingsales.com. So obviously I'm going to talk about stories, right? Is that idea of creating a library of stories, okay? That you don't have to come up with these stories on the fly. You actually have them in your library, and that at any given moment you go to that library and you borrow a book, okay? But not just any book, a book which already been created and recorded and rehearsed for this particular sales situation. Okay, this is a lot of salespeople find it very, very helpful. Have a library of stories. And second, in this library, you're going to have a special section. And that section is called objection collection, right? So, like, if you run into an objection, you don't think, oh, like, we don't have a budget, or I'm not a decision maker, call me back in 3 months. Like, what do I do? You don't have to push yourself through that stress. You already know exactly what to say and what story to attach to that objection because you prepared. You have it in your library, that particular section. And the last one is probably would be have that mindset of helping the customer. Like, forget that you need to push and sell your stuff. Like, this is not your job. Your job is to help. And then you come in as an expert trying to help. It's a completely different dynamics of the conversation. So this would be my top secrets, like the one which worked so far anyway.
And we are entering into a speed round. That means quick questions and quick answers. Are you ready for it?
Sure, let's do it.
What is the most impactful business book you have read, and what did you learn from it?
I'm not original, so, like, this is my favorite book, right? The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And if you see when I read it, I color code. Red is a protein, right, which you must read, right? So orange is your carbs, which is good to have, and the yellow is the fat. Okay, like, nice quotes. Let's just pick anyone. Like, for example, like, I'm preparing for negotiation training, and this great one, like, win or no win, right? So he talks about the win or no will, and it basically means that it's much better to realize that, you can tell the customer prospect, okay, let's agree that if we don't reach a good deal, which is good for both of us, we can disagree and we'll be totally okay with it, right? So a very key, very interesting, fundamental concept before entering any negotiations. You can say, like, listen, I want you to win and I want to win myself. Let's agree, if we cannot find that win-win, we'll just go for no deal, no feelings hurt, okay? Fundamental, very interesting, right? And this book is full of examples like that. Again, like, this is on my table all the time.
Wonderful. What do you want to be remembered for?
So, like, I wanted to be remembered as someone who told me something I didn't know, but I should. Somebody who was able to cover my blind spots when we work with business leaders or consultants, SMB coaches. So Ed was the one who told me about something I didn't know, but I should.
How do you overcome a challenge life throws at you?
So primarily, I see that I never lose. I either learn, right, or I win. So, and that's the concept, right? So, and I see life challenges as basically being a trainer. If a challenge comes in, I said, okay, thank you, God, for sending me a personal trainer who is going to prepare me next time I'm ready. Okay.
What do you want to do when you grow up?
Surprisingly, I wanted to be a teacher, right? And I still think, even in the world of training, this is what I do. I inhale, right? So I get all that knowledge, then I exhale, then I share the knowledge, and then I do these two things. I'm happy, right? Inhale, exhale, you happy. So being a teacher, acquiring knowledge, sharing knowledge. That's all what I wanted to do.
Once you have a revenue generating idea, how do you convince your significant other?
I actually didn't have to convince her at all. She basically said, I've never seen you to be more motivated and happier. And that's all I need to see from that idea. If you're happy, you really enjoy what you're doing, there's no more convincing that needed.
What are you grateful for today?
And I'm grateful for today that I'm alive. I had that accident a couple of months ago when I did my first dosage of the vaccine. And I actually lost conscience, went completely black, ended up in the emergency room for 9 hours. And then from that day, I promised my entire team, I'm not going to complain about anything, okay? I'm just happy to be alive. I'm grateful for every day.
Who is your living mentor and what is the impact they have on you?
As for living mentor, it's probably going to be Shirzad Sharmin and his book, The Positive Intelligence. I actually met him, so that was a key revolutionary idea about that sales mental fitness I talked about earlier. That our brain is kind of like a movie. There's the good guys and there's bad guys, and they're always fighting with each other. It's saboteurs versus the sage. And that percentage of where your brain is will actually determine how you feel about life, what kind of decisions you're making. So Shirzad Sharmin and his book, The Positive Intelligence.
Why is being impactful important to you?
Again, that will probably go back to my previous response that this is based on breathing, that for me is kind of like air. Then I inhale, I acquire the knowledge, exhale, I share it, right? So if I don't do these two things, I cannot be happy and I cannot live, I cannot breathe. I need to do these two things. And I think that's pretty important.
You made it so simple. Thank you.
Sure.
How do you start your day?
I combine the West and East philosophies, right? So first I do the Qigong, which is the breathing exercises and the meditation exercises. This is my Eastern part. And then I do 100 push-ups, which is the Western, right? So combination of these two gives me great energy for the day and a good mindset at the same time.
Who is your ideal client?
Ideally, we work with two types of clients. So first of all, it's the corporate teams, corporate sales teams, helping them, VP of sales, director of sales, business owner to develop high performance sales culture without burning the team. And the second type is the SMB owners, consultants, and coaches who need help getting the deals closed. These are two types of people I really enjoyed working, and it's amazing what you can do with the simple techniques and changing your main mindset, particularly mental fitness, sales mental fitness, what we call them.
What is the advice you would give to your younger self?
Interesting. I would probably try to take more risks, and don't care about the failures. Don't care about anything what others are thinking about you. Just try to do as many things as possible. Fail fast, learn from it, and then do something else.
How can we support you?
I wouldn't say how can you support it, it's how can I support, right? Because for me, it's breathing and inhaling and exhaling. So basically, for anybody who is listening to this podcast, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm the only Ed Bilat in the world. And mention this podcast, right? And I will send you my book, Storytelling for Sales Playbook, absolutely free. Just mention this podcast. And also we have our website, storytellingsales.com, where you can come in and learn about what we do.
What would you say about your guest experience on the show today?
It's been really good, welcoming. We had a little bit of questions about the cameras, but we were able to figure that out. So hopefully quality is good, but it was really enjoyable, interesting. I like the format.
What would you say as a final word?
As a final word, whether you're a coach or a consultant, if you're running a team, like I would say, okay, think about the business, and your team is kind of like a computer, okay? Because we all have the same hardware. Hardware is our brain, okay? You cannot change the brain, like it's given. Then a lot of us were focusing on applications, right? So like your finance, sales techniques, leadership, closing, these are all apps, okay? But we forget one thing, the operating system. The operating system, like what is the system? An operating system is your culture. What kind of culture do you have within the organization? Like what kind of mental fitness culture you have within your organization? So my final word, look at your culture, try to change the operating system before you bring more apps onto the same hardware we already have. Okay, so computer, hardware, applications, but operating system first.
Thank you, Ed, for your time and wisdom. On the behalf of Entrepreneur Empowerment Club and our entire team, we really appreciate you. I hope our path cross again with another piece of advice, sharing with the, as you said, inhale and exhale. That's what you live for. And I look forward to amazing time ahead. Thank you.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be here. So thank you so much.